The next statement to control the flow of the program that we are going to learn is how to use the for. The for, usually you put here some statement also, and then you this statement, it's a comparison between objects, but it's going to do, for example, for each element inside a list. In this case, let's put here object list, and let's print each one of the elements. And if I run this, oh, I have an error. I have an error because what's my error? For each in object list, it's because I let the space here. It's very important, the spaces in Python, because the spaces or the tabs, how close are they to start. This is the error in my list, and now this is an error because it has also a space. Okay, one tab. Remember that the padding, or how far do you leave everything from the start, it's going to represent something. It means in this case that this print belongs to the for, and it's going to execute only during this loop. Okay, so let's run this, and now it printed all the elements on my string object list. For each element on my object list, it's going to be printed, and you can see here all the elements are printed. So this is the easiest way to do a for. To do fors, usually you will use the function range. So you could do for each in range, and then you put a number here. Range is going to return like a list with the number of elements that you define here. So I want to define 20 numbers, and I could print each. And in this case, it's going to print the 20 numbers. Notice how the numbers go from from 0 to 19. So it starts in 0, like the elements in a list, and it ends up in the number that you put here minus 1, right? It really returns an iterator, not a list of numbers, but it is like a list of numbers. You can consider it like a list of numbers, and it's very useful for this range. And that way you can create loops. We can start doing something with Maya, maybe. I'm gonna try to open here the script editor, and let's just do some stuff. Okay, first I'm going to do an import pymail.core as PM, and let's create some boxes. For each in range, I don't know, 15 boxes. Let's do pymail.polycube, and here I created my boxes, and you can see I created 15 boxes here. Okay, so it can be used, as I said, to do many types of loops. Let's move these boxes. They are all in the same place, right? Or in the same place. Let's do something with them. Let's try to move them maybe in one axis. Remember that when you create a polycube, if you create a polycube, let's just create one polycube, and let's print what it returned. Print. This polycube returns certain things. Let me delete file, new scene, don't save. Let's run this, and you can see how when the polycube was created, this returned two things: the transform and the polycube node. The polycube node, remember, is this one that defines the properties of the polycube, right? So we have the properties of the cube, and we have the transform. Right now we are not catching this, that it's returning the polycube. Let's catch this. Let's put here transform it's a variable, so you can call it whatever you want. And here the properties, prop equals this. Okay, and now these ones are the objects inside this is the transform object, right? This is the transform object, and this is the properties object. The transform object is the one that has all the properties or the attributes for translate, rotate, and scale, and the prop is the one that has the width, height, depth. Okay, so now we can access those attributes as we access any other property inside PyML. So for example, I can do here translate x dot set. I'm just copying this translate x from here, translate x dot set, and I'm gonna set it to the value of the range, right? And just put the value here, each. This is the value. It's a variable that each time that we go in the loop, it's gonna take this value, right? So let's do it for 20 boxes or 10 boxes. 20 is too much. Let's delete this one, and then let's run this. And now, as you can see, I move each one of the boxes 1 unit, but the size of the box is 1 unit. That's why they look like they are all there, right? Like they are all together, but it's really, they're not. Well, they are together, but because of the size of the box is 1. Anyway, let's move it. We move it 1, but we can change the properties also. Let's change some properties on these objects. So property, which is the variable for each one of the boxes. Let's modify the height, and let's make it dot set. We are setting this with a function, and let's call it, let's put each. Okay, let's try again. Oh, height. I spell it wrong for sure. It's height. Property, the properties, which is this polycube, height dot set each. And my error is cannot set attribute polycube height below its minimum value. Oh, I'm trying to set the height to 0 at some point, and the minimum value is 0.01. So I cannot do it because remember that each, I told you that in the range, the first value is 0. So that's why I cannot do it. So maybe I need to put each plus 1. And this way I will avoid the 0. And let's try again. Let's delete this one, cube, click. And there you go, it executed, and now I have here 1 box, each one of them 1 unit bigger than the other one. I hope that this was clear, how the for works. Remember, the for can help you to execute multiple times one code. For the moment, I think that's all I wanted to show you. If you have questions, let me know.